Today, we are joined with a good friend, longtime client, longtime adaptive user, just all around great guy, Ryan Hanson, founder, co-founder of Sustainable 9. Ryan, we'll do a little introduction here, but in a minute, a little bit more thorough one, but go ahead and
Sure.
say hi to everybody.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm glad I could be here. And again, like Bree said, long time client and friends of these guys too. So happy to be here.
I love it. I love it. The Hanson brothers and the Sustainable 9 team, that was a really early win for us. And a lot of it was contingent on the draw process, if I remember right. And really going deep into their business. So they've helped us a ton in terms of refining this tool, being guinea pigs, just incredible resources. So we appreciate you, Ryan. Thanks for being along for the ride.
For sure. Thank you.
Okay, cool. And then as always, not to sleep on Daniel, the old trusty Daniel down here, the technical guru. Daniel actually just got a promotion. Daniel, tell the team what you're doing at Adaptive now.
I'm managing the customer success team, so helping run onboarding, account
Manager.
management, making sure everybody's having a good experience with us, for sure.
I love it. I love it. Daniel is going to be working with our customer success team just to create consistency and make this as great of an experience as possible for you guys. So now that Daniel's in the manager chair, everyone loves the title, but now if you have problems with customer success, go to Daniel.
I was
Go to
about to
Daniel.
say my email's attached to the end at the end here.
Exactly. So if you have ideas for improvement, get it over to Daniel. That's going to be his baby here moving forward. So, cool guys. Well, we'll just jump in here. Um, let's see. Staying on top of here. Natalie's recorder. Cool. Good morning from beautiful St. George, Utah. Love it. Thanks for coming on, Janae. Jumana, congrats, Daniel. Okay, we've got the love flowing. We're good. Today, guys, we are going to be focusing on draw processes, specifically for cost plus billing. Truthfully, going from days to minutes. And that's why we have Ryan on here. He's going to be going into what their process looked like before, how they operate in Adaptive now. We will be going through some of like the technical feature side of things. But as always, when we do bring our clients on, this is more so just so you can hear it from the builder, how they're using it, what they've seen outcomes be, and answer any questions that you guys have. Okay, so it's going to be a little less feature and product showing, more going through discussing processes, wins, losses, so that you guys can empathize with this and hopefully gain a little bit more confidence and adoption within the functionality of Adaptive. So, as always, we want to hold Q&A at the end, but feel free to drop questions in the chat. Again, I mentioned this before everyone was in here, but make sure that you're using the chat and not the Q&A. Okay? My eyes are on the chat, and if you've been here before, you know that I do like to field these chats, depending on what the question is, as we're going through, saving the big questions for the end. But I don't want to lose your question in the Q&A. So if you have a question, make sure that you're putting it in the chat. The recordings will be sent out this afternoon, and you can also find them on the Help Center. Curious if you guys could just give a quick thumbs up emoji in the chats to know that you have seen the Help Center recordings. That would be great. I can also do a refresher if you guys would like a refresher so that you can access these. You can send them to your team, and you guys can lean on them as resources in the future. And then we will go into a little bit of a sneak peek here of what you can expect for our next session. We might have to audible here a little bit, but more to come there. So today, again, cost plus billing in minutes, not days. I'm actually curious, and I prompted you guys to do a little thumbs up here for the Help Center thing, but I'm going to retract that. And I want to know how many of you guys are experiencing multiple day long processes for compiling draws within your business. You can just give a quick hands up emoji in the chat. You can say me, like Jonathan. Okay, Jonathan is experiencing multiple day long draw processes. Christy Weaver, she's waving at us. Okay. Guys, the entire point here, which we'll get into, is when you think about a multiple day draw process, it of course sucks internally, right? Like no one likes shuffling the paper, updating the spreadsheets, reconciling everything, right? That's the brutal part. But even when you look at it from a business sense standpoint, is all of that brutal work that no one likes to do is preventing you from getting the income you need to pay your bills, to prevent you from being a bank. Cash flow, right? So while it is brutal to do, a lot of the industry has just said, what else are you gonna do? This is just what I have to do in order to get my money. We're gonna be talking about how you can get your money without all that bloat. Okay? Where's my mouse? There's my mouse. Okay, cool. Today, Ryan Hanson, we'll go a little bit deeper in Ryan's background and Sustainable 9. We'll go over the challenges that they faced, what their current workflow looks like, the impact that it's brought into their business, and then obviously the Q&A. Okay. Tim McMahon, no longer multiple day draws. I love it. You've seen the light. Okay, I'm going to stop talking and flip it over to Ryan. Ryan, give him a little background on Sustainable 9, some of the fun stuff. And guys, as Ryan's talking, you can kind of read over the introduction. But Ryan, tell them where you are, what you build, the type of business that Sustainable 9 is, the awards you've won recently, just some of the basics.
Sure. Yep. We're based out of the Twin Cities, Minneapolis in specific, but kind of expand through the metro area and around, even going into Wisconsin eventually here too, it sounds like. So we're kind of a luxury, high performance, sustainably focused builder locally, but we are also a very high design. We've been in business for 19 years. We actually started in 2008, if you can believe that.
Nice.
It's crazy. I had in a previous company, we had literally got out right before kind of the crash. We kind of saw a little bit of the writing on the wall and jumped back in with both feet and really in 08, 09 and kind of lucked out on kind of the timing there. So we kind of dodged the worst part of it. Still took some bumps and bruises like everybody, but yeah, here we are today. We have a team of 16 people. We have project managers, and we have 4 interior designers in-house. I co-own the business with my brother Chad and another minority business partner of ours, Vince, and also Chad and I's parents are minority owners too. But we are my brother Chad does sales and marketing. I run all of our kind of finance operations and really development. I do a lot of development stuff. I'm kind of the local zoning nerd in our office. So if we're subdividing lots or things like that, I know how to do all that stuff. But finance is really my main piece. And I've run the finance team since we've started. So like it says right here on the screen, we're a very sustainably focused builder. So we build some very high performing houses. We're basically building to basically the 2038 building code, I think right now is what my Paul, one of our employees, told us the other day. So
Wow.
we're definitely I think we're far ahead of some of our competitors locally, I think, in that. And we did just win at it's called the Big Night here locally. It's our huge it's a big kind of like black tie affair almost, where they do all of our awards for our industry, and we won the Leader in Sustainability Award. We've won that before, but now it's getting much better or bigger competition, and we won it again. So that's good. It's in our name, and it's really what we focus on top of being, we're a luxury home builder, so we focus on very high design. If you see our website, you can see kind of what we do. I think we do a good job of doing that high design, but also doing high performance, and that's what our clients are looking for. We are cost plus builder too. We don't do, I can't even remember last time we did a closed book project. So we are cost plus open book, very transparent to all of our clients.
Love it. That was beautiful. And guys, I think just to attest to it to what Ryan had just said is, very, very client forward builders, right? They're focusing on the sustainability. They're focusing on the transparency. They're focusing on the accuracy. And all of that comes through in their business, which is why I thought no one better to get on this webinar than Ryan to discuss how, initially you think of a client-focused process being what quality of build, right, are we doing? What's the quality of the product? But
Totally.
even how that translates into the financial experience, right?
Very much so. Yep. Yep, we've got
Beautiful.
very demanding, clients, and rightfully so. They're spending a lot of money, so we like to, dot all our i's and cross our t's when it comes to the finance piece, and that's really also why I'm here, because Adaptive has helped a ton in that, actually, and kind of bringing our process to the next generation, if you will.
100%. Which this is a good segue into the challenges that you guys faced.
Yeah.
Guys, again, I'm not a big slideshow guy, but I think it's helpful for the audience to kind of skim through this. But Ryan, I mean, what did the draw process, the invoicing process look like for you guys before you started running
Yep.
Adaptive?
Yep. So we always do monthly draws. We did in the past too before Adaptive, but we had basically created this monster kind of spreadsheet that was very intertwined with multiple formulas and stuff. We called it the projected estimate summary. And PES is what we put it for. And back in the day, we were doing draws similar to how Adaptive does it in a much, much shorter period of time, but we were doing everything manual. So we were basically running all the monthly draws in these spreadsheets, and then every month would be a new column in the spreadsheet. And then my bookkeeper at the time, she would have to, along with my help, but mostly her, we would literally have to go and get all of the invoices, all the receipts for that month, since we're cost plus, and she would have to basically make sure they're all in PDF form. She'd open Adobe Acrobat Pro, and she would have to go through and literally put them in order that we had our summary sheet in our PES for that month's draw in there. We were creating a new tab on the spreadsheet every month for a new draw. And then on top of having a giant summary sheet so they could actually track, how we were doing to the original budget to what the actuals were. It did its purpose at the time, but it was absolutely ripe for error. I mean, if you made one, there's formulas all over the spreadsheet, and if you made one formula was off, right? I mean, it could be affecting what was showing on their actuals versus the budget, and that definitely happened, and it happened repeatedly. Not to mention just the amount of time it would take to create when you have 8 to 10 large projects going on at once, and you have to create a draw for each one of those and do it all manually. I mean, it was taking weeks to do this. Not to mention the team, our project manager. I mean, they weren't sometimes seeing these invoices until we had these internal draw meetings before we sent the draws out. So it was always hurry up and review these and get them out the door. So that
Totally.
was definitely some issues with that, to say the least.
Totally. Well, and that's where even I remember distinctly, Ryan, and it was either during the sales cycle or it was maybe after, and like after you guys had started getting into draws and like seeing the value.
Yeah.
You had made the comment that it was like Groundhog's Day. It was like I think I asked you
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
how much time do you spend on putting draw packages together? And you were like, well, it's like we really never stop because
No,
you
no.
get the invoices, you organize them, you move them through the process and try to prepare them for the
Mhm.
actual assembling of the draw package, and then you're updating it. It takes a week, and then you guys were using like lines of credit, weren't you? Because it was like taking so long to get your money and like trying to
Oh yeah.
float.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
So locally here most of our jobs is done through, even if it's a cash job, we still run it through a title company, just because it's in our local market, a lot of it's done that way. We just don't take the cash right away. There's always a third party there, and the title company, we pay them basically as an insurance policy to protect us as the builder, but really protect the client. But in doing that, we were sometimes delayed in getting our checks, right? Because we would have to get the draw there. The clients would have to sign off on the draws, and then we would have to wait for the funding. And we were using our big line of credit. I mean, it was costing us a bunch in interest every year because we'd have to float those things, right? And and some of the subs could wait and some of them couldn't, right? I mean, I get it. It's like some of the guys are smaller and some of them are like, hey, it's fine. I'll wait 45, even 60 days, and other guys can't wait 2 weeks, right? So so
Totally.
yeah, that was pretty tough there for a little, especially when you have a bunch of large projects going on. That really, it was, like you said, kind of Groundhog's Day. It was, you'd get done with the draw for, let's just say, October last month, and then we would already be working immediately on the November draw and trying to get everything lined up so it wouldn't take so long once our internal draw review meeting with our team came up. But those internal draw review meetings, it was pretty much, we would sit in the conference room, the finance team, and we'd call in the project managers and the interior designers on that job, and it would be an all day affair, right? It took forever
Order
because
lunch.
order
Yeah.
lunch, yeah, because they hadn't even seen some of these invoices at that point, right? And so they're way closer to the projects even than I am, because I'm trying to run 10 of these, and they would basically be saying, okay, I haven't seen these. I don't know if that's actually correct. Let me call the sub. And I'm like, it's just, so there just wasn't enough time either. And I mean, you got to keep, it's like any business, right? Cash flow's got to keep coming in the door so that you pay salaries, everything. And it was just, we were getting behind. Let's put it that way. I don't know what
Totally.
better way to say it.
No, well, and that's, I think you brought that full circle of like my comment earlier. It was like, sure, it's brutal, right?
Yeah.
It's like just getting done with October, starting like already working on November.
Right.
But that was just like the nature of it. I think it's the risk, right? And the penalty that comes along with the not having the cash flow, right?
Yeah.
It's
right.
like, it's just with that delay, you are creating a subcontractor, which we all know is
Yep.
the most important relationship in building a home, right?
Totally.
Maybe
Yep.
one of the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah, it
And if
totally
you're
is.
and you got them there 45, 60 days to get them paid, it's like you want to get them paid fast, right? But you want to mitigate the risk from your business standpoint, not to float cash.
Right.
So it's like you're opening up so many of these doors for a process that no one likes to do or does it because they have to, along with hurting relationships, business risk, all of those other concepts with these bloated processes.
Totally. And like you just said, it's like we always say it, you're only as good as your worst subcontractor, right? I mean, that's just how it is. And like, so you got to have good subcontract, and you got to keep those guys and gals happy, right? I mean, if you don't, and including the vendors, right? I mean, they're going to go to who's paying them, right? And who's paying them on time. So,
Totally.
so that definitely has changed dramatically since we've switched. And I also want to address the second point here, just the receipt collection from our team. All of our project managers and interior designers all have company credit cards, right? And when you have like 8 to 10 projects going on at a time, that is a lot of receipts that come in or that we have to try and collect every month, right? And most of them are all good at it, but again, when we'd be waiting until the end of the month to collect all these receipts, right? And we didn't have an app or anything like Adaptive has the receipt app. We didn't have any of that. It was just like my bookkeeper and myself, and we'd look and be like, hey, we're missing all these receipts. And then it's literally cornering those people and be like, hey, we need these are job costs, right? If we're not getting the receipts for this, I can't go and put it on a draw. So we're just eating this cost, right? And that can balloon like crazy, right? I mean, it's like thousands and thousands of dollars when you're running a $2.5, $3, $4 million project. Those receipts can add up big time. So that has helped immensely as well. Just having that and being able to collect all the receipts and having an app to do it and having it simple has helped immensely as well too.
Totally.
Yeah,
I was just going back. Go ahead, Daniel.
I was just gonna say, like you said, I mean, those costs add up very, very quickly, right? Like you might be like, oh, this is just a $25 gas receipt or Home Depot receipt, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But then that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And Reese, I was actually just listening to Triple B this morning with, I'm blanking on her name, but the accountant from Houston, from Melton and Melton. I think it was
Andrea. Andrea Gallion. Yeah.
Andrea. Yeah. And so she was saying that people have like a 3-month lag, 2 or 3 month lag, and then they're basically eating that cost or floating it, dip into their own pocket before actually receiving money from the client. Brutal.
Yeah. I mean, just probably in the past 6 to 9 months, even we've got it down to basically like literally zero missing receipts, which is crazy. And we've got it down, and it's just, it's education with the team, but it's also just making it easy for them where they don't have to collect a pile of receipts and hopefully have them at the end of the month, and they're not sitting on the floor in the back of the truck, right? I mean, it's like just
Yes.
they're doing it as they're sitting at Home Depot. I mean, before they're even walking out the door, they're taking a picture of it with the app. They're getting it in there, and it's ready to go. They can just throw the receipt away, right? And they're
Totally.
coded. We give them the freedom to code it to the job and code it to the right cost code. And I thought it would take a long time, and it actually did not take that long for them to learn that. And once they do it now, I mean, it makes them more organized, and it makes their project run that much smoother too. So they look better, less issues with the clients and everything, and everybody's a lot more happy.
Totally. Totally. Two things. So first, the $100,000 mistakes that,
Mhm.
and this was another builders, but Tim Savre. I was at the Contractor Coalition Summit here, like a week and a half ago. It's an event put on by like Nick Schiffer, Brad Levitt, Morgan Molitor,
Yeah, I know it.
Tyler Grace, all those guys. Yep. And so anyway, and Mark Williams. The point is Nick shared a story with the receipt concept, right? The $25, $30, $100, $200 receipts. And they essentially ran a report and saw that over, it was like a year or 2 years, all the costs that they had missed that never got categorized was like $100,000 plus
Oh yeah.
issue, right? And that
Yep.
wasn't cost that was getting billed to the client. That's where I always say you can't plus what you don't cost, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's like you're not only eating the cost, but you're not invoicing your client, capturing the markup on that cost,
Totally.
which
Yep.
includes your margin, right? So
Exactly.
that's where when we start to go into these missed billables, right? Forgotten receipts, lost revenue, right? These are the important pieces. And to the second comment of that, Ryan, that you had touched on, I was commenting back and forth on LinkedIn about this. The problem with software, and there's a ton of it out there, right? It's not hard to go find a piece of software to implement into your business or even a construction-centric piece of software. The challenging part is finding a piece of software that is intuitive enough, thoughtful enough, easy enough for the end user to actually start adopting. Because if it's too long of a runway for them to adopt the solution, they're not going to commit to it. They're going to say, this is harder for me to do and figure out, or it doesn't work, or it doesn't do what I need it to do. So I'm just going to stick to throwing receipts in the back of the truck and hoping that Becky in the office gets what she needs, and I'll just take my lumps when they come. Right.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it needs to be easy. So I love that you shared that, Ryan, because like that's the thoughtful part of this entire process, right? I always explain accounts receivables, invoicing, the draw process as the outcome of all of the AP and expense tracking, right? Especially in cost plus. So if we can get the AP and expense management dialed, we're going to have a really clean queue of all the costs that we've captured that have been properly categorized in the right bucket that we can now include on a draw, export. We have all of our documentation and draw schedules and change logs, all that put together.
That's exactly right. Yep. Yeah. I mean,
Great.
having those all together, and I mean, I think we were probably almost the same way. I want to say it was probably 1 year. It was at least $50,000 worth of it's like uncategorized expenses, right? And I'm just like, good luck finding these things. It's like I mean, we kind of just had to write some of that stuff off. But you're right. Or it's like we were losing our GC fee on that too, right? I mean, how much of that was project cost? How much was it internal expenses too?
Totally. Totally. And I think just like to Tim Savre's point, he chatted in the group, guys. He says, and again, Tim Savre, he's the controller for NS Builders. They're a custom home builder up in Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh yeah.
Tim says, we have 3 receipts in total prior to November 1st that are not entered currently as a result of the now SOP with an adaptive.
That's
So
awesome.
like that's that. I mean, you're in low single digits
Yep.
for non-captured receipts. That's it, guys, right? That's it.
Yep.
Okay, so and again, I'm terrible at slideshow, guys. I think we're covering a lot of content, but let's like keep chugging along. Sustainable Nine's cost plus workflow. This is what their workflow is in adaptive. Okay. And we've already kind of touched on this a little bit. But when we talk about the first bullet, right, pull in every cost automatically. Again, when you're a cost plus builder, you need to be looking at, if you're not already, the invoice as the outcome of a very tight AP and expense. AP being accounts payable meaning invoices from subcontractors, vendors. Okay. Running really tight processes there. Ryan, what does it look like for you guys when you're running your accounts payable and expense management side? You already talked about receipt tracking and expense management, but tell them a little about your AP process.
Yeah, so we literally have a just a it's just billing at sustainableline.com. It's we have one email that all of our invoices are sent to from all of our subcontractors and vendors. We've got them trained down for that. We have our bookkeeper that literally is taking those, pretty much twice a week, and she's pretty much scanning that email and making sure that every single thing that comes in there is put into adaptive. And then on a weekly basis, we're having our internal like project manager, and even we kind of have a hierarchy of the project manager looks at it, and then the head of construction, and I'm kind of the final sign off, but they're all looking at that to make sure that it's coded first of all to the right job, which they know it's usually the address that's on there, but then also that it's in the right cost code. And our team, we've trained them well to, what goes in what cost code. And even our bookkeeper takes a good first stab at it, let's put it that way, and she's very good at that, but she doesn't get them all. That's why we have to have kind of these levels of approval going through. And once that's all in, that's done on a weekly basis. And then, like, ironically, today is our monthly draw meeting. So literally after this, I have to go to our office and we're going to have our monthly draw meeting, but it should only take, for the 8-9 projects we have going on, it's only going to take probably 2 hours to review all those draws, because they're all then combined by our bookkeeper into a monthly draw. And then we are going and looking at each of those and saying, okay, it's more of just a review because everybody's already reviewed them before, and just making sure a triple check basically to make sure that everything's coded properly. We add our fee on top of it, and it literally goes out. My bookkeeper sends it out the door to the clients for their approval. So that's really kind of our AP AR approval process, if that's what you're looking for, Reese.
That's money. No, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's even to like Christine's question, like, are you having to use any AIA forms in your draw process? What Ryan's talking about when they go through, and Ryan, you can obviously speak to this, but just as a summary,
Mm-hmm.
like the AP process, right, is like everyone's checking the invoices and they're approving them as they're coming in, right? So we're getting real-time understanding on our cost. That's updating the budget. So we have real-time estimate versus actual. Then when we're getting our draw season put together
Yep.
at the end of the month, then we're just able to select all those costs, put that into a draw package, which then the team is reviewing, right? They're going through
Exactly.
and they see it. And
Yep.
Christine, our draw packages were built to emulate AIA style invoicing. Okay.
Yep.
Ryan, you can go in and explain this a little bit deeper, but I'll pull up an example because that's what we wanted to emulate with the draw schedule. It's going to be most closely related to like a G703. Okay.
Exactly. Yep. And I'm sorry, that is the cover sheet that we use, and Reese will show it to you too. But yeah, one other thing I'll add to that is what has been invaluable is in adaptive, when the invoice is inputted by the bookkeeper or a receipt, and literally there's a comment, there's a comment section in below where you can at somebody, right? You can say like, at my bookkeeper, at like my project manager, whatever their names are, they're all set up as users in adaptive. And you can literally talk about that specific invoice in the invoice that you're on that screen. And it helps immensely because you don't have to have meetings, right, about that. It's just all done in there. And if there's any question later on, then we might save that invoice to actually review at a meeting. But most of the time, everything is handled, where before we all had to do it in person.
Totally. So again, like we could just go in, like I just went from the whip screen, which you can have real-time whip, but then you can see your budget, right? I just go to draws, and then I can just see this invoice. And then from here, I'll just export it. And you can see that we have like an AIA style summary. I'll download, and this is one of our test jobs, so it should have backup documentation. It might not. It looks like we might have just drawn off cost, but you'll be able to see the draw schedule on this, Christine. because this is essentially what would have been updating Excel sheets, compiling all this information is now just like truly an export. So that would be your pay app. Christy, I'll call on you here in a minute. But you can see here's your pay app. It looks like a G702. Here would just be your standard invoice, right? Your line item invoice. And if there was backup, if we weren't invoicing off cost, but this was or off of a line item, we were invoicing off of like an actual bill, you'd have a hyperlink here. But then you have your draw schedule here, right? So you can see your scheduled value or your initial budget, any changes which impact the revised budget. What was your previous draw amount? What are we invoicing for today? Materials stored, total completed to date, percent complete, balance to finish, any retainage, right? So then you can come through and you can see, okay, I'm invoicing $1.2 million for temporary electric. And then if I were to scroll down through all of it, down here is where you would see your backup, which I can't put together if you guys want to see the actual images of invoices, but that's where all of the AP that Ryan's team and all the expenses that his team is submitting and is getting approved is now going to be harvested into this. So the next, call it 50 pages to this backup would be all images of the receipts, the invoices, all of that documentation.
Yeah, it's very helpful to have that in the PDF form where there's those, it's basically the hyperlinks where you can jump to the actual invoices in there. I know our clients love that because they can do it too, because they get this exact draw sheet, and when they're doing the review before they sign it, it's kind of they've loved it, and it's a much more professional looking draw than what we were sending before.
Totally. Okay, Christy, let me see here. I brought you to the center stage, Christy. You can jump off mute and you can ask your question. Are you there? I don't know if you were raising your hand for some other reason, Christy.
I think it's an accident.
If it was an accident, then you can just chat. But again, guys, if you do have questions, you can raise your hand. I can bring you to the front like I just did with Christy. Okay, cool. So, guys, that would be the process. Okay, is this resonating with people? Give me a little validation here in the chat, just to make sure that we're going down paths that are landing, that are relevant, that we can identify with, that we could be solving problems on.
While we're waiting on that, Reese, I do have like an example draw that has backup documentation if you want me to show that real quick.
We'll hang on to that for the Q&A, just because we're at 40 minutes here. So I think just like from a like a clear workflow standpoint, Wade just throwing me off. Wade can take more vacations because of this process and adaptive. Exactly, Wade. Let's get you on the beach. Okay, cool. So here's the workflow and adaptive, right? The clear audit trails from cost to client, real-time budgeting and billing clarity, seamless bill to draw workflow, AP to invoice workflow or receivable workflow. Okay, just to drive it home, hours spent. Actually, Ryan, can you quantify this? Like how much time? Let's go man hours. And I want to go off man hours because I think for people to really understand that it's not just the bookkeeper that's doing this. It's not just the owner that's doing this. It is the time of the bookkeeper, the owner, the project managers, the directors, all the people here. What would you do from a time standpoint before and after?
Yeah, like I said, I'm saying at least 80 hours, if not 80 to 100 hours we were taking just of the bookkeeper's time to create these draws, because again, most of it was just the manual process of it. It wasn't even so much, yeah, she was trying to double check the numbers and everything, but just doing that manual process took so long, right? And then, I mean, it was like, is that really time that I should be spending paying her doing that? Like literally moving things around in Adobe Acrobat Pro so that they're in the same order as what the summary sheet is. So, I mean, it literally went from that down to, I mean, a couple hours. I mean, to literally, I just had a call before this. My bookkeeper was, and I have a draw meeting this afternoon. She was literally like, after this call is done, she's like, I'll generate all the draws. and they'll be ready by your 1 o'clock meeting today. So, I mean, that's how quickly that they're created, because we have all that ready to go, and she just clicks a button. Basically, it creates it, and we can review it in this meeting with our team. And then literally by tomorrow, by the end of the day tomorrow, we'll have all of these sent out for the clients for their approval. And hopefully, we're getting funded by Friday or Monday for all those. So again, it's at least 80 to 100 hours of my bookkeeper's time, not to mention probably another week and a half of my time that has now been freed up. It's that much more to go help me do the development side of things, and things where we're actually big picture things that we're making money off of, versus just my head in the books all day.
I love it. You're making my heart happy, Ryan.
Yeah.
That's just like insane though. When you think like 80 to 100 hours of one
Mhm.
person's time, then a week. I'm even just going through the thread here. Like Sean Van Dyke, like the two-way sync from QuickBooks makes things so much more efficient. Actually, we had a question from Christine, excuse me. Ryan, are you using customer as the job or QuickBooks Online projects? Does that
We're
question make
using,
sense?
yep, we're using the customers as the job. Yep, in QuickBooks. Mhm.
Okay, cool. And then yeah, guys, just like more validation. Like you're looking down like Wade Lowe's input here. He was going like a day plus per draw for clients to
Yeah.
10 minutes. And he was taking deposits from clients ranging from 50 grand to 200 grand. And yeah, it's just crazy. Entering everything, exporting to spreadsheets, updating different. Yeah, Austin, we got to get you on this too. Yeah. Wait, you were doing the same thing. Okay. Thank God you aren't doing that anymore. Okay, we're good. Okay.
I will say one thing I gotta say at the beginning. We were using Builder Trend too. We were using Builder Trend to try and do some of this, but it just Builder Trend does not work well for cost plus builder, but let alone to try to do that, what we wanted to do, which is basically what Adaptive does, but we were doing it manually. It wasn't working in Builder Trend at all. We tried it, and it didn't work for us, at least.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, guys, what you take hours, clicks. Okay, we've beat this to the ground. Is this again, I hope this is landing everybody. Here's everyone's contact information. I'll leave it here, but let's fire up some Q&A here. We've got, call it 40 people that have joined. It didn't work adaptive as money. Appreciate you, Austin. What questions do we have? We've got obviously like a well thought out leader in the industry here that has seen both sides of the gate. Like, let's get some Q&A going. Let's get some questions going. Is there any hesitancy from users that are watching this? Are there any people that have questions when it comes to structuring QuickBooks, putting it together? Natalie, fantastic. Do you still have labor tracking, or do we need a higher tier subscription, or is it limited access based on my user type? Natalie, go ahead and raise your hand. I'm gonna bring you in, and you can actually, I think I can do it from here. Wait, there's two Natalie Malkowicz in here. I'll just bring here. Are you there, Natalie? Natalie, are you there? Check, check. Okay. If you can figure out your mic, that'd be great, because I just wanted a little clarity here. When you ask, do you still have labor tracking? The answer is, like, are you asking in terms of an adaptive, or are you talking about Builder Trend or Job Trend or any of those products? Because the short answer is we're going to pull in time activities from QuickBooks Online and desktop. So then you can bill for that labor. Okay. So what we're doing is we're essentially taking the labor that is in QuickBooks, whether that's pushed in from Builder Trend or Job Trend or any other time tracking app that you're using. You can associate the cost rate to it by user, cost code, job, whatever it is. And then you can add your burden rate or your billable rate. Okay. So then you can have all of that pulled through. And then when you do invoice, you just select the time activities and it'll bring it into your draw. So then you can invoice for labor as well. I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Correct me
And
if
to
I'm
be
wrong.
direct,
Go ahead.
we don't have like a clock in and clock out directly
No.
in Adaptive. We pull it straight from QuickBooks. But to answer your question, no, you do not need a higher tier or anything like that to access the time clock labor and have it populated into your budget. It could be potentially a permission thing, depending on what your role is with the company. I would have to look into your account. But yeah, you have access in Monumental Builders right now for time clock labor.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, hell yeah. There you are, Natalie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Yeah, because I wasn't seeing the tab to open like the people or
Yeah, so it looks like you're listed as a project manager. So again, like as far as information flowing over, you guys work with apparatus, correct?
yes.
Okay. So yeah, I would probably talk to, your team from apparatus. But right now I'm basically not seeing hours pull directly in from QuickBooks. So it could just be, something in terms of how the hours are being entered in QuickBooks and how that's syncing over to Adaptive. But yeah, we can sideline about it if you'd like. Email me directly. Of
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
course.
Nice. Okay, cool. Okay, would love if you could add lien waivers signed since Flash Draw included the draw export. Daniel, do you have that in the product chat?
Yeah, we do. We addressed at the end of our last webinar before we had Ryan on, like the cost plus draws. That's something that our product team is looking into, is being able to add signed draws automatically. Right now, you can export signed lien waivers for a specific job in math and like manually attach it to the PDF. But I think he's referencing if you could automatically add them, that would be great.
Beautiful. Okay, Jumana, once you create the draw and adaptive, do you use QuickBooks Online to send the invoices or something else? Meaning, do you receive ACH or QBO payments to get paid by customers? What do you guys do, Ryan?
We actually, so once we get the draw approved internally by our team, then we just have a DocuSign account, and I literally have templates in DocuSign like that are ready to go that are for that specific client, and then it is sent out like just kind of like a form email basically that's sent to them, and then they can just sign it in DocuSign, and then once they sign it, it is automatically routed right to the title company, and that starts like basically the disbursement process right there. So they sign it, they automatically get it. The title companies already know, hey, signed by the client, signed by you, and I sign it and the client signs it, and then it's ready to go. So, and then we usually get either an ACH payment, or usually it's just a check that we get from the title company, or we get wires every once in a while too, if it's a really, really big draw sometimes.
Okay, so you'll get checks. What do you, ACH, is that just through the title company?
The title company usually only does like a wire, not an ACH is just like a bank transfer that takes a
Right.
wires, happens in hours, versus ACH sometimes can take a day or two or something like that. So
Right. Okay. Okay, cool.
I would
ahead.
love if Adaptive had, I didn't have to use DocuSign. So someday I would love if you guys got some e-signing capability here. That would be fantastic.
We're working on it, and you can see that with our lien
Yeah,
waivers,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
totally.
so we've got like the concepts down. I think this is what you're going to be seeing more of as we like tweak and adjust and refine what these flows look like. But when you look at like our lien waivers, right, it's like essentially that type of capability where it's pulling in information from subs, from jobs,
too.
POs, exactly. So like
Yep.
we'll chug along on that. I think the one that we do normally get is, when is Adaptive going to be ready to receive payments from customers?
Yeah.
Which has been a top conversation in the product war room, as we call it.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be
So
awesome.
yeah, just keeping that top of mind. And guys, like the more we hear from you, the more that gets motivated, because obviously we're building this thing for you guys. Jumana, I hope that answered your question. If not, more detail, please. David Hernandez, for projects with lenders attached, how are you billing excess cost? For example, we may have a $100,000 allowance for cabinets, but for example purposes, the final design comes in at $150,000, meaning there's a $50,000 overage on that allowance. A 50% deposit is required, which the lender will only fund $50,000. How are you billing clients for the additional $25K? Separate owner lender draws? Question mark.
You know, I don't know if we really, usually the way our lenders that we work with, a lot of our clients are cash, but other ones, I would say it's 50-50. Usually if the lender won't fund it, then the title company is literally getting money from the client, right? They just have to float that out of the pocket. So yeah, if we had $100,000 in the original budget and the clients went crazy on cabinet design and it came in at $150,000, we're still sending them maybe a $75,000, half of it deposit, and if the bank will only fund $50,000 of that, then the client is the one that's responsible for coming up with that extra 25,000. I mean, that's how it works in our world anyways.
Yeah, interesting. I think, yeah, I'm curious, how are you doing it, David? Because that seems pretty, I feel like that seems pretty straightforward, just with like a client over spending.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It happens all
well,
the time, right?
yeah, of course, of course. Okay, yeah, more context on that, David, unless that answered your question. Because I think it's actually a pretty interesting conversation to go through. Okay, Austin Nixon. Is anyone actually uploading images of receipts for monthly subscriptions like Builder Trend or gas station receipts? You should be.
Yeah.
1000%.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan. Are you?
Yeah, we've started charging a monthly accounting fee that basically covers. We had not been doing that until this year, and we've added it to our budgets, and it basically covers, mostly my bookkeeper's time, somewhat of my time. My time gets covered elsewhere, but then also, what we pay for Adaptive every month and anything that we outsource in the finance department. I mean, we don't get it all covered, but we're getting way more covered than we got before. And we don't actually show the adaptive receipt, although you could do it that way. Instead, we've just kind of made it a bucket for, there's a line item on our budget for that, and then we just divide that out over how long we think the project's going to take, and then once it's exhausted, it's exhausted. So
Yeah.
but we haven't had any pushback from clients. And I mean, I kind of came up with that by looking, how much do we pay for Adaptive every month? How much time does my bookkeeper, how much does it take her every month to do this, and how much am I paying for it? Is kind of how I
Totally.
figured that out. So
Yeah.
it's not an exact science, but way better than before. I'm basically getting probably 80% of all that cost covered.
Yeah. I mean, we heard things very similar in Chicago, right, Reese? I mean, not only from
Yes, the Contractor Coalition Summit.
but also and it was nice because you can hear from 50 builders at once of what they're doing. But I also consistently hear it on trainings, like there's people who are really on top of their financials, and like you said, Ryan, they're putting things above the line, not necessarily, they don't want it to eat into builder's fee or profit. So especially if you're doing cost plus, adding like a software fee, or I know people who are doing it specifically for Builder Trend, specifically for Adaptive, for Job Trend, whatever you're using. You should charge your client for that, because like you said, Ryan, a lot of time it's like an internal battle in your head. You're like, oh, they're going to push back, or they're going to, be upset about this. And normally if you spell it out and you have backup documentation, it's never really qualm from it.
You should not, especially when you're cost plus. I mean, I feel like back in the day, I used to almost feel bad, like, oh geez, I feel bad charging that. And now I've totally switched my mindset. I'm like, this is cost plus. This costs us this money, right? So we try. And it's after talking to other builders, and especially builders way bigger than us, even locally. I mean, they charge for using a pencil. They'll charge for a paper clip. I mean, they charge for every single thing that you can possibly think of. So it kind of opened my mind. I'm like, well, yeah, we should be charging for that. It's like something that it's a job cost. So I don't feel bad about it anymore, I guess, is the bottom line.
Totally. Yeah, I think the biggest mental shift there is being confident in why you are
Right.
moving that into the budget, right?
Mhm.
Like if you're going to throw it in as a line item, which I'm very pro, you should be, the client is going to ask you, like, why am I paying for your software? And you need to be confident saying, because if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be paying for this software, right?
Totally.
This is just as much a cost of building your product as it is the lumber package, right?
Yep.
And when you start to get into that mindset and thinking about it as like, okay, this is what we need to do to provide the experience. And they're like, well, there's builders that aren't charging me for it. It's like you're gonna see it in the process. When you're working with me, you know that I'm taking managing your financials seriously. I'm running a healthier, faster cash flowing business. I'm paying subs faster, which is getting me better access to quality subs, which are happier on the jobs that's building your house, right?
Yep.
You need to be able to go down those lengths with the client, and they're going to say, where do I sign?
Totally. Yeah, we actually we have a pre-construction meeting, right? And it's kind of a little presentation that we give, and part of that presentation is about financing. And in that meeting, we explain everything. Like this is what that fee is for, and we show like this is adapted. This is the software, and this is the portion of that is your project your job is going to be costing to us. And so all we're doing, I'm not like trying to nickel and dime you, but we're just covering our costs. And as long as you explain it to them and set the expectation, we haven't had anybody push back on it yet.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Christina, thank you for jumping in the chat. Christina is requesting payment through QuickBooks once the draw has been synced from Adaptive. Susan Landrum, so good to hear from you. It has been way too long. We should catch up. But Susan's question is, do you still use Builder Trend along with Adaptive, Ryan?
We used Builder Trend for a long time. My business partner was one of the first adopter, like way long when Trend first started. So we used it for many
Was it
many
Chad
years.
or Vince?
Vince, actually. He was
Dang, okay.
he was way back in the very beginning when he was at a different company, not when he was with us. But so we did that. We actually just recently switched from Builder Trend to Rezio, and we really like Rezio. I feel like it's a bit more user friendly, if that's the way to say it, I guess. But we've had it fully integrates with QuickBooks too. So all the finance stuff we keep track of in Adaptive, but we've kind of set up Rezio so they can still see their budget in there, but it's not really we don't really interact with it in Rezio. It's just because it's a one-way sync from QuickBooks there. But all of our project management, all that stuff, calendars, all that stuff, that's all in Rezio. And it's been a nice switch actually from Builder Trend. I would recommend it, and it's actually kind of cheaper. I think so it's really like which one do you like better, I guess.
It's always so similar when you talk about project management software. And
Yeah.
I think, Susan, just to like drive this home, like the clients that we see being the most successful, I'll preface with that, they are looking at Adaptive as where they run their project financials. To like make this even more clearly, like when you look at like a product like Builder Trend, right? Just like mentally delete the financial tab. And that's what you're going to start using Adaptive for. And then you would run your project management through a Builder Trend, like scheduling, daily logs, to-dos, documents, photos, stuff like that. Okay. Now, I did do some content with Mark Williams, another builder up in Minneapolis. Sat down with his controller office manager, and Joel and I walked through how they use it because they use Builder Trend and Adaptive in tandem. Okay. And they've done that mental shift of like, I'm not going to use the financials out of Builder Trend. I'm going to use it for Adaptive, but they still use it for issuing change orders and then receiving payment because Builder Trend can receive payments. Like $125,000 is the limit for receiving payment. And I was going through that because I thought it was an interesting process to highlight, because for them, it is still far more advantageous for them to build and issue change orders from Builder Trend, essentially getting that to be, and actually real quick, Ryan, do you have to jump here in a minute?
I'm fine for at least another 10 plus minutes for sure.
I'll stop talking. Point being is that's the best way to look at it. And Susan, we can connect on this, sideline it. Let's jump in. Chris Murphy, love seeing you here, dude. Christine Stockmer from the Western Slope. Does anyone have any large commercial jobs where you may be receiving bills from subs at a building level and rolling up to a job in QuickBooks Online? Christine, has a large commercial construction job where they have 12 buildings and roll up the details into one total draw. When I think about this, go ahead. Do you have an opinion on this, Ryan?
I don't, I don't really think if we've ever done something like that. We did do, we do some like boutique multi-unit stuff. We've done some like row homes and some smaller condo buildings, and those we've just kept it as one project, really. I guess, I mean, if that's really the only thing I think I could compare that to. We haven't done any big like commercial, multi-commercial building projects, but I would think there would be a way to do that. I guess I would, I need to talk to my bookkeeper, who's maybe a little bit more of a QuickBooks expert than me on that, but Reese, I don't know if you've got any insight on that. I'll leave
So
that
I've
something
got
to
a
you.
couple. Daniel, do you want to take a stab at this first before I go?
I missed the question. I was responding to Austin. Go ahead.
Okay, all good. No worries. So essentially, they have a large commercial job that they're receiving bills from subs at a building level, and then those roll up to the total job level. I'm thinking of this like a campus, right? It's like the one project, but it's got 12 buildings on it. And then the job where they have the 12 buildings and those roll up into one draw. So they would want one draw to go to the client for all 12 buildings. I'm thinking how they would structure that in Adapt or in QuickBooks. I think it would be like would it be a customer sub customer situation?
Yeah, I was going to say
But then
like
that would
parent customer and then projects or sub customers underneath it, and then you can build a parent customer. The one question I have is about like compiling or combining the draws. Like you can combine all the draws into one like payment request or to build a parent customer for all of those buildings. But like compiling the draws together is something that I would need to look into.
Christine, I think this is a good one. This is a technical one. We can dig into it on the sideline. Um, all right, Jumana, Christina, thank you. They use QuickBooks Online as well. Being careful with receiving payments via ACH. QuickBooks Online took out a full percent off the $100,000 was retained by QuickBooks, which is so high. So now we just accept checks or request direct bank. Awesome. They're getting checks, no QBO, ACH. The fees are too high. Okay. Let's see here.
Way low with a little nugget too.
Yeah, same with general liability. We charge our clients 1% of sub costs each month. I love it. That's going back to the move your software costs on or ahead of markup.
We do something very similar. Yep, we charge those insurance costs to the job and to the client.
I love it. I love it. What is it? Jerry Maguire with the famous quote, "Show me the money." Is that
Show me the money. Yeah,
is that the? I think that's the one.
that's the movie. Yep.
You got it.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it. I see the go, "Show me the money."
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That should be the intro to Triple B from now on.
Yeah, it should be. Show me the money. That's actually hilarious. We should change that. Okay, David came back with more context. I love it. Okay, so I suppose my question is about the contradiction between being a cost plus builder versus the lender, which is assuming fixed cost and how people might be handling the draw process for collecting on cost that the lender will not fund. Preparing separate lender draws and owner change order draws and how that might be handled in Adaptive.
I would
My
say
initial-
you can create separate draws. I would also say like you can spell out individual line items, whether you're using a cost code or using description, like paid for by owner, if that's something you wanted to do. We also have people handling deposits in a creative way where essentially you could take like initial deposit and then you're just putting a negative line item on the next draw, essentially saying we're pulling from that overall deposit amount that we've collected. So again, like I would want to look at this and try to like work out the technical details on the phone with you. But Brian, I didn't know if you had any context or if that helped you develop a better answer.
Yeah. I mean that again. I kind of go back to what I said before. We don't do really many fixed price project, but that would make sense. We're just creating a single, one draw, and then if the lender doesn't some box it, funding part of that, like then it's really, we've just always said it, it's in our contract that the client is really responsible for making up that delta, like the difference.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think Christine brought up a good point too. She said, we prepare a change order draw and then send that out directly. Like how you label it isn't really important. It's just basically separating those fees from obviously what you're sending to the lender. So However
Right.
you want to accomplish that, David, we could definitely brainstorm.
Yep.
Cool. David actually just chimed back in here. To Christine's question, and Ryan, you can jump when you gotta jump. But to Christine's question, when I did multifamily, we would create a comprehensive schedule of values per building by phase and by trade. I think that might be handled in the PO function of adaptive. You can build those commitments. That's what we're talking about with POs in terms of what are we expecting by building, by phase, by trade in POs. So, and we can talk about that with like the class level too, right? Like how you're leveraging class in QuickBooks. You can allocate class by line item on invoices and POs as well as at the job level. So we've added that functionality in as well. So David, I think again, this is worth sitting down and doing a brainstorm on for sure. Cool. I'm not currently harnessing adaptive. My job is already busy with the builders. LOL. Hang in there, Christine. Hang in there. Okay, guys. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate it. We are over on time. Appreciate you guys hanging tight. If you do have any other questions, pop them in here. If not, we can phase this out. Ryan, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. If you guys haven't already, I've had the thank you slide pulled up here for a while. Ryan's email is there. My email, Daniel's email.
Your pause,
We're all, huh?
Your screen sharing pause.
Oh,
There you go.
if it's paused, it doesn't show it.
No, it doesn't.
Wild. Okay. Rookie move. I totally thought it was there. Okay, so this is our contact information. Reach out. We're all about better building, making more money, better processes. If I can't help you, I probably know someone that does. So we're here for you. Thanks for jumping on, everybody.
Thanks for your time, Ryan. Have a good
Yeah.
night.
Yeah,
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Reese. Thanks, Daniel.
of
Have a good
course,
one.
of course. We'll see you guys.
See you guys.
Bye.